If you're tired of your dog or puppy jumping on family, friends, or any guests that come over your place, this is the episode for you. Again, my name is Brian, a professional dog trainer, owner, and founder of Awoken K9 and the Virtual Dog Trainer, an in-person dog training company in Tampa and an online dog training company where we work with thousands of dogs on making sure that we get them to listen, behave, and become the best version of themselves. On today's episode, we're going to go over how to effectively teach your dog to stop jumping on guests. So let's get right into it, guys. First and foremost, if you're one of those owners that really just dreads having guests over because you already know how your dog's going to behave. You're just like, damn, dude, people are going to ring the bell. My dog's going to go crazy. He's going to bark. He's going to run around. He's already going to jump on my mom, my grandma, my kid. We don't want any of that. So if you are one of those owners that's dreading having guests over or hearing the doorbell, this podcast is specifically for you because we're going to go over how to make sure that we get guest greetings as smooth as possible. So let's get right into it, guys. First and foremost, we need to understand why your dogs jump in the first place. And really, there's a couple main reasons, but first and foremost is understanding that your dog's excited. Again, dogs are living, breathing animals, so they're going to be excited. They're going to get excited the same way you do. The only difference is a lot of them may not know how to cope with that excitement and how to use that excitement and still greet guests in an appropriate manner. Right? A lot of that excitement kind of gets funneled in, gets bursted out, and then you get a dog that just doesn't know how to manage himself. They go, cool, I have all this excited energy, I'm just gonna jump, go crazy anytime guests come over. So that's the first reason. Second reason is they want affection. They're seeking attention, right? And the thing that we need to understand is if they're seeking attention to jump on our guests, and our guest gives it to them, well, that behavior is only getting stronger, and which is likely what happens a lot of times, right? You have guests come over, and your dog jumps on the guest, and you're like, no, don't do that, don't jump, and your guests are likely like, no, it's okay, don't worry, it's okay, and lets your dog jump on them, pets your dog, and everything like that. Then your dog quickly learns, oh, dude, hold on, jumping on guests gets me affection faster, so I might as well just run up to them and jump. And then the third one is natural for dogs, right? They naturally want to go up towards your face, they want to lick your face, they want to greet your face. Either way, regardless of the reasons, transparently speaking, is we need to teach our dogs how to appropriately greet guests. It's not an issue that you're excited, that you want attention, that you want affection, and that it's a natural way for you to greet guests. But I want to teach every single one of my dogs that, dude, the issue is not that you want to say hi, the issue is how you're going about it. So a lot of a dog training that you guys are going to see, especially if you guys listen to any of our previous podcasts, is really understanding our individual dogs, understanding what they want, and teaching them how to get access to what they want in a polite manner. So it's not an issue that you want to jump. It's not an issue that you want to say hi to the guest that came over. The issue is that you're jumping on them. Right? It's not an issue that you want affection from them. The issue is how you're going about getting that affection. That's what we're going to go over here. So first and foremost, let's go over some practical solutions that we want to combine on a day-to-day basis to set you and your dog up for success. And that way we can start instilling and creating the right habits in our dogs so that long-term when guests come over, you just have a dog that doesn't jump on them. So first and foremost, I think the most important part of everything is going to be management. What do I mean by management? Meaning, how are you living with your dog while he's learning these skills? And by management, a lot of it's just really prevention, being proactive about everything. You don't want to be reactive, you want to be proactive because, hypothetically speaking, like if your dog has jumped on your guest for like 2 years of its life, we already know what's going to happen the next time that doorbell rings. Why wait? Right? So instead, I want to be prepared. So if I have a 2-year-old dog that's done this for 2 years of its life, what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to be proactive. How do I be proactive? Well, one, there's 3 main things that I really want to look for. One, my dog's energy levels, right? So if I have a high energy dog and he hasn't had any outlet, I'm going to burn off his energy. I'm going to play with him. I'm going to take him on a walk. I'm going to run him. I'm going to make sure that he is physically fulfilled before any guests come over. Why? Because if I have a high energy dog and he has not had any outlet, guess where all that energy is going to go to? That's right. Your guests, your visitors, anybody who comes over. So instead of that, I want to kind of take the edge off. I want to burn off his energy. I want to meet his needs so that is not the highlight of his day. I want to burn off my dog's energy. So first and foremost, be proactive about exercising your dog both mentally and physically. Second thing, how do we want to be proactive? One, prevention of the bad habit, bad behavior. How do we prevent the jumping? The easiest thing I recommend is one, have your dog on leash. Super easy. Why? Your dog tries running up to your grandma and jumping on them, you literally step on the leash on the ground and go, dude, where are you going? Knock it off. Don't do that. Especially if you have a big dog, because it might not take much for that big dog to push grandma over, and then grandma breaks a bone, and we don't want that, guys, right? We want to make sure that grandma still stays inside the house and is able to enjoy everything. But I digress. Let's kind of get back to it. So have your dog on a leash, right? So first and foremost, exercise your dog, burn off his energy. Two, have your dog on leash. Be proactive. Don't wait for your guest to come in and then have your dog jump and then pull him off. Hey, I already have the leash on, so my dog or puppy doesn't even have the opportunity to jump on my guest. They don't even get to rehearse that, because one, the moment I see that happening, I step on the leash. Three, you also want to have some rewards on you. We already know that my dog wants to say hi to people, right? He's excited for that. Well, why not have something more valuable than the guest, so that I could teach my dog, dude, hey, pay attention to me, I'll give you permission to go do that. And then the next way you want to be proactive about it is really having your guests be included in this. Meaning, I don't know how often you guys have guests, and you guys, again, you don't need to have guests coming often. The more guests you have coming in and out your house, the better. The quicker your dog learns not to jump on people. But here's exactly what I would recommend doing. Anytime you have guests over, send them a message. Let them know, hey, dude, I'm training Fido. Send me a message when you're on your way over, and when that way you could do two things. One, you're prepared. Oh, dude, I have guests coming over at 3 p.m. They sent me a message at 2 p.m. that they're on their, at 2:30 p.m. they're on their way. I put the leash on under the drag. I have some treats already handy. Why? I'm already prepared. I'm setting my dog up for success instead of letting my dog practice the wrong behavior, me doing the same thing over and over again and nothing changing. So that's the next thing I'm doing, is having my guests included. Aside from having my guests send me a message, what else do I want my guests to do? I want them to understand do's and don'ts. So first and foremost, my dog's already excited to say hi to my guests. So what am I going to tell my visitors? I'm going to tell them, dude, Fido's already excited to say hi to you guys. Can you guys just ignore him for the first few minutes? And when I mean ignore the dog for the first few minutes, I mean act normal. Like the general public and everyday people are kind of terrible at ignoring dogs. They kind of go like, okay, I'll ignore them, and they act weird. Like, what I mean ignore the dog is like literally just come in, talk to the whoever you came to visit, but ignore the dog. Act perfectly normal. Why? Because your dog's already excited. Why make it harder, right? Why make it harder for Fido to make a better choice? So if I have guests coming over and they go, hey, and Fido's like, damn, mom, I'm really trying to stay still, but like, she's exciting me. Okay, let me go. So just to make it easy, I tell my guests, hey, just ignore my dog for the first few minutes, and just act casual. Very casual. Honestly speaking, you just walk in and you just walk inside the house, greet whoever's there, and then after a few minutes, then you could greet the dog. Make it as smooth as possible. So that's how you want to be proactively managing your dog, right? Exercise needs first and foremost. I know I have guests coming over at 3 p.m. Dude, early in the day, I'm going to burn off his energy. That way, my guests do not get all the bulk of his energy. Two, I'm going to be proactive about everything. One, I'm going to have my dog on leash. I'm going to have some treats. Two, I'm going to make sure that anytime guests are coming over, they're shooting me a message. If you guys don't have guests coming over, use your spouse, use your wife, use your husband, whoever is coming over, whether your brother, sister, whoever's over, they help you. They are going to be part of the training. Once you have a good understanding that, hey, my guests are coming over, you told them to send you a message, they send you a message, the leash is on your dog, the treats are handy, what are you going to do? One, tell your guests to ignore your dog. Super important. He's already excited. Fido wants to say hi to you. Can you just please ignore him? Make it super easy for him to be successful. And then after that, now we're going to go over the actual steps in order to begin teaching your dog kind of basic rules to say hi to people, right? So first and foremost, guys, golden rule number one is like your guest only pets your dog when all four paws are on the ground. Super, super important, because at the end of the day, like, your dog, you always want to start changing the way you see things in terms of like, why is your dog doing something? Well, Fido's doing something because he's jumping on guests because he wants affection. He is very excited. He wants to see mom, right? Super important. How do I teach? What do I teach my guests? If my dog jumps on you, you do not pet on him. You do not give him any sort of affection. He only gets affection once he's on the ground. Because if not, well, he learns jumping gets me affection faster. Where I want my dog to understand, you only get affection if those paws are on the ground. So, what do you want to do if your dog, to begin teaching this? One, proactive. So I tell my guests, like, dude, my dog's on leash already. If he tries jumping, here's what you're going to do. You're going to tell your dog no. You stop him off the leash. And then you give your dog the opportunity to say hi. If your dog's paws are on the ground, I encourage my guests, get lower to the ground towards my dogs. Do not, please tell your guests, don't do any of this. Anytime. Because a lot of guests end up doing that. Like, hey, come on. No. Tell your guest not to encourage him to jump. Your guest goes down to your dog to give him affection. If at any moment your dog jumps on your guest, puts his paws down, here's exactly what you want to start doing. You want to tell him no. Super, super important. Because you want to communicate to your dog, dude, that's a mistake. That's exactly what you did wrong there. Second, you already have your dog on leash. You're taking him away from the guest. Why? Because we're using what our dog wants to our advantage. Hey, Fido, you wanted to say hi to my guest. You jumped on my guest. You hear the word no. What happens after? Whatever you wanted goes away. You don't get access to my guest anymore. I remove you from whatever you wanted until your behavior changes. I give you another opportunity. You don't jump on my guest this time. Great. You get affection and love. My guest comes down to your level. Right? And if you start doing that, kind of a lot of trial and error, kind of practicing, showing him what the right thing is, showing him what the wrong thing is, you start developing a dog that understands, dude, if I want to get affection and I want this, all I have to do is not jump. And if I don't jump, then great, cool, you guys come to me and I get this faster. It's super important. But that communication is going to be very, very important. Meaning, the moment your dog jumps on your guest, you're on top of telling him, no, that's a mistake, taking him away. No, that's a mistake, taking him away. Once you take him away, you give him an opportunity to settle down, right? So if your dog is already zigzagging, jumping, going crazy, I'm not just going to go, yeah, go say hi again. No, I'm just going to go, no, don't do that. After I give him an opportunity to settle down, give him a chance to go say hi. He says hi, go pet him, give him some love. Now, this takes a bit of practice. I would honestly practice this first and foremost, right? Especially if you have a younger dog with little, that doesn't have too much life experience, right? Because we're going to go over a couple other ways you could definitely teach your dog to stop jumping on guests, but this is the first one I would recommend. Regardless of the ways, you still always want to be proactive about everything. But the first and foremost is teach your dog that, dude, if you jump on my guests, you don't get what you wanted. You actually get the opposite. Everything you wanted completely goes away, and you honestly don't get the affection you wanted. Now, like I mentioned before, enlisting the help of your visitors is going to be super important because they need to be compliant. They need to understand, like, dude, if my dog jumps on you, please don't push him. Please don't pet him. Super important not to push your dog off as well or turn your back or anything like that. These are common myths, but here's the problem with certain things, right? If you push your dog off, your dog jumps on the guest and your visitors push him off, well, for a certain breed, pitties, terriers, that love physical contact and roughhousing, that is our boxers. Oh my, I'm just laughing because I had a client that we worked with not too long ago that had a boxer. They reached out to us because every time the owners would come home, the boxer, their dog would literally run around the couch, jump off the couch, and literally body slam the owners, and then do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and start jumping on their owners all over the place. And the main reason for that is because they kept pushing the boxer off. The boxer would jump, they would push him off. The boxer would jump, and then the dog views that as a game. They go, wow, that's just honestly one of the highlights of my day. He goes, I can't wait to do this again. And we don't want your dog to kind of view that as a game. Why? Because then that behavior is going to get stronger. He's going to like jumping. Instead, I want to teach don't push your dog off. Don't pet your dog if he jumps on you. We don't want to do any of those things. Super important because that's going to reward the behavior. And this is where that consistency and enlisting the help of your visitors is super important. They need to follow your directions because if not, well, they're actually just teaching your dog to do the complete opposite, right? Now that we went over enlisting the help of your guests, here's exactly what we want. That's a couple other ways we can start teaching your dog to just not jump, right? Two other methods are, one, you can limit, if you have a dog with more life experience that's pretty friendly with dogs, pretty friendly with people, has met tons of different people in his life, has no issues, you can literally just punish the behavior. Transparently speaking, right? You tell your dog jumps on the guest, You tell him no, he's on the leash. You do a firm pop or tug on the leash. He goes, oh, damn, that did not feel good. Wow, you raised your voice at me the moment I jumped. Damn, maybe I won't jump. And then you give him an opportunity to try again. My dog jumps on the gas. No. Pop on the leash. He goes, damn, that did not feel good. Take him away. Repeat it again. Hey, go say hi. I tell my guest, step outside, ring the bell, do the same thing you did again. They come on in again. I let my dog say hi. He makes his choice. Great, you didn't jump. You don't get punished. Now, you're only going to do that method if you have a well-socialized dog. Super, super important. You're not punishing your dog for jumping on guests if you don't have a dog that's socialized. Meaning, you have a 6-7 month old German Shepherd that you haven't had too many guests coming inside your house. And you do that and that's his first experience with a stranger. It's not uncommon for that German Shepherd to go, damn, I guess this is how humans are. I guess I'm going to bite you. We don't want that. So you only do that with well-socialized dogs to the point where, like, that dog goes, Dad, it was you that said, no, I know that you're the one that punished me. It wasn't the stranger or anything like that. So that's how I would go about if you're going to use punishment. And when it comes to punishment, again, you don't have to you don't have to pop on the leash. You can literally use anything. You could literally use the squirt bottle. The moment your dog jumps, I say, no, squirt him in the face. He goes, damn, that was terrible. Caveat, make sure your dog doesn't like water. Because if he does, then it's like, yeah, he'll like it. And the most important part, especially if you're going to use things like that, is like the novelty of it is super important, meaning the first time it happens. So your dog jumps on guests. No, here's the consequence. If it's a squirt bottle, it needs to be in squirt in his face. And the most important part is staying consistent with that, in the sense of, like, the moment you do it, do it. I said, you jumped, here's the consequence. You jumped, here's the consequence. And then after that, you repeat the process again. You have your guests repeat everything. Step outside, knock on the door, let's do it again. My dog walks in, great, you didn't jump, but and all that good stuff. And then once he doesn't jump, great, give him affection. Let him know that he's doing awesome. Now, a third way you could do, aside from like just punishing the behavior, and again, transparently speaking, you do this a couple times with the right dog, they go, cool, I understand, jumping's bad. Every time I jump, something I don't like happens. Again, you're only doing that with a socialized dog. But the third way is you can literally just teach your dog, like, dude, when you hear the doorbell, go to your bed, place, spot, whatever you guys want to call it. It's just go to his bed. I teach my dogs that all the time, mainly just so that if somebody knocks on the bell on the door, I could just say, dude, go to your bed, open the door, see what's going on. It makes my life 10 times easier. So it's pretty straightforward, right? Somebody knocks on the bed. First, you teach your dog how to go to bed separate from the doorbell situation and when guests come over. And then once you have your dog reliably able to go to bed, stay in bed, regardless of where you are in the house, walking around, sitting down in the couch, opening the fridge, opening the front door, all that good stuff without the presence of people. You introduce it with people. They ring the bell, send my dog to bed, they go to bed, I open the door, they're still in bed, I go over there and reward my dog. And honestly, this works great for many dogs because it teaches them patience, right? So I had a couple of my clients that had dogs that were like, I had a couple of doodles that wanted to jump on them, go crazy, and literally one of the easiest things that they do now is just doorbell rings, their dogs naturally just go to bed at this moment. They don't even have to send them. And a lot of it's just habit formation, right? And doorbell rings, go to bed. Doorbell rings, go to bed. Eventually, with enough repetition, the dog goes, doorbell rings, I'll just go to bed. You lay in bed. And now they're doing it automatically in their mind, they're probably like, dude, I have no idea why I'm doing it, but we've done this so many times that it's just happening. And then the beauty of that is you teach your dog, hey, dude, settle down, relax, until I give you permission to go say hi. Once he settles down, then I give him a release word. Yes, free. Okay, go say hi. He says hi to my guest. Awesome. 10 times easier because now he's not just vibrating with energy. He's a bit mellow after my guest came over. Now, those are the 3 main methods that I would highly recommend. Pretty straightforward. And the most important part is staying consistent in the sense of, like, do not let your dog rehearse that bad behavior and being proactive about it. Because hypothetically speaking, if you stay consistent with your husband and spouse or anyone else that you primarily live with, but then somebody new comes over and you don't stay consistent and you get a dog that goes, ha! When your aunt is here, I could get away with anything. And then you get a dog that starts testing behaviors. In the beginning, if you have a dog who has developed that bad habit, stay consistent. Because your dog is going to push that button and go, normally this works. Normally I'm able to jump on guests. What do you mean I can't do it now, Mom? Whereas if you have a younger dog, it's a lot easier. because your dog doesn't have that repetition and that habit formed yet. So that's the big secret for today, guys. Making sure that one, you're proactive about everything. Being proactive and making sure that you set your pup up for success, super important. Making sure that you exercise your pup. You're proactive with using the tools, leashes, treats, making sure you don't let your dog rehearse the bad behavior. Making sure that you enlist the help of your guests. So anytime you have guests coming over, shoot me a message, man. Let me know when you're on your way. I'm training Fido. You're gonna help me out for the first few minutes, man. Just you'd help me out a lot if you just ignore him. When they come in, you're gonna do one of three things. One, you're gonna just teach him, hey dude, you only get affection, you only get access to what you want if you don't jump. First and foremost, he learns, dude, if I don't jump, I get whatever I wanted anyway. Great. Super simple. My dog jumps, nope, you don't get access to that, remove him. My dog jumps, nope, you don't get access to that, remove him. Always recreate whatever he struggled with. Go back outside, knock on the door, they knock on the door, let him say hi again. Great, you didn't jump, give him affection. Second thing, just punish the behavior. My dog jumps, I just get a squirt bottle, squirt him, I say no, squirt him in the face. He goes, damn, jumping, I hate it, because every time I jump, I get squirted in the face. Unless you have a lab or a dog that loves that loves water, do not do that. When it comes to punishment, you're really just looking for something that your dog dislikes, so that he goes, jumping leads to that. Super important, so that he understands jumping doesn't get him anything he wants. And third but not least is you could just teach your dog, go to a specific spot, lay down, hang out until I give you permission to get off the bed. Now guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and if you guys did, feel free to leave a quick review on whatever platform you guys are listening on, and share this with someone who is struggling with a dog that's bouncing off their chest. It's probably going to help them a lot, and it's going to make sure you don't get scratched up. And we'll see you guys in our next one.